Welcome back to the Sam Paulin podcast, and today we're doing a solo cast and bringing in a new segment called the S&C Business Club. Business and financial independence as a strength and conditioning coach is something that's such a huge part of my work and a huge passion of mine as well, because it's so important to our livelihood. I believe that there is so much misinformation and cultural grooming around the fact that we should do it for the love and that we should just do it because we care, when 9 times out of 10, if you've been in business, a lot of people don't care. And I say that with the biggest admiration for the profession that we do and the people that we work with. But there is a huge distinction between transactional and transformational relationships. You'll probably get 90% transactional and 10% transformational, and those will be the long-term people that you're around. And I will tell you this for certain, that professional clubs are transactional relationships. So we're going to get into a few bits and bobs and keep this quite short. But today we're going to talk really about why most coaches will never really make a decent living and how to avoid it, because it's so important for you as coaches to understand your financial expectations when coming into our profession, so that you don't get burnt on the flip side. And if you want to, you're in a position where you're looking to build a side hustle, or you're starting to try and do that, I've actually created a simple step-by-step guide ebook that you can download in the description of this episode, wherever you're listening to it, and it will talk you through it. And I've got some emails that I'm going to send you about how you can really start implementing it, and based on my experience, because one thing that I don't want you to fall victim to is the Lamborghini bro science out there that will try to tell you that you need to be doing stupid stuff for marketing's sake to actually create a healthy living. So we're going to smash that out of the park. So the harsh truth about coaching salaries, and I did some research, is that in 2025 the average strength and conditioning salary across professional sport is £35,000 a year. That is the average salary. Now, what does that mean? Well, realistically, it means one simple thing: a lack of disposable income and a lack of money. When you think about that as an hourly rate, it does break down to a very, very fringe minimum wage. But I'm not here to smash that bandwagon, smash that drum, because you already get it. You're listening to this episode because you want to understand ways to avoid it. And when I first started, so I was working, as I said, I was working out of my shed before. I was working privately when I was at university. When I was at Brunel, I actually started the strength and conditioning program for the rugby team there, and they all paid me £20 per quarter, I think it was, or per third, when we got our student loans. And my pitch was, they're giving you this money for free, well, you can give me some of it. It's not actually coming out of your own pocket, and we can build a program. And that was £20 per third of the term, per term, and there was about 60 people in the program. So you can do the maths of what that was making me. And I would rock up to our indoor athletic center twice a week and do an hour session with the squad. And that was awesome. And that was kind of like, well, this is what we're doing. And in the meantime, I was watching YouTube and started to put YouTube videos out there, started to try and market myself in a way that was more internet. And that was 2012 when I graduated my undergrad. In 2009, I think you can find my first really rogue YouTube videos out there. So go check that out and have a laugh. But I didn't really know at the time, like, professional sport, how do you even do that? And so when at that point I was at uni, getting paid to play rugby, getting paid to coach, I was doing all right for myself. And then I didn't really know this professional sport world existed. And so I decided to, again, use the internet. And Mike Rodango over in the States posted that James Thinker Smith was coming over, and I should get in contact with him. So I did. Long story short, he was a massive influence of mine. If you know who he is, then you completely understand why. And if you've got my book, Sports Speed System, you should see lots of gleamings from him in there. And he was my first reference for an internship at Wasps Rugby at the time. And I really didn't know the power of what that reference would have given me. When I then I got the job, and I was really fortunate, and I worked in the college program for the first season, and then I got offered a job to stay on, which was amazing, and it was £16 an hour. And I was just so happy to be paid. And I was working as a personal trainer as well at the same time, marketing myself in the local area. I was getting paid to play rugby. So I used the rugby club. We started our first academy franchise there, and they're going to be different episodes. I'm going to talk you through how to start your own academy franchise, which I've ran. Our longest serving one was over a decade. Which was amazing. And so I was known in the area. I was known for my skills. I was making my way professionally, and I was actually making more money in less time as a private strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, as I was working for Wasps. But Wasps was the thing that I felt would open the doors for me. And it got me a good email address that started to open doors. But what I was stuck with was my passion was the thing that was overcrowding and my emotional connection with Wasp, because I actually broke my leg the day that they came to scout me for the senior academy there. My whole emotional connection was too tied up into it that I was willing to sacrifice whatever I could to just get that role. And, I wasn't making good money. So I'd gone through this broke coach trap. But at that time, the world was so different to what it was now, and the acceptance of a strength and conditioning coach in cultural norms wasn't even there. So now you don't have to do that. You don't have to stay broke in these three traps. So the biggest one is obviously chasing unpaid work. My mum always said to me, she said, Sam, you are so fortunate that you can afford to do an internship. And basically what she was saying is that you don't have to pay a fucking penny to live under this house or your food. So you can go out and work for free because I love you and I care about you. Not many people can do that. So I was really, really fortunate. And if I'd turn back time, maybe I actually wouldn't do it again, because I've gone full circle and I've ended up talking to people on podcasts and following what I started of pre-professional sport and reputation enhancement. Okay, so there's the other trap that you can fall into, is thinking that you need to leverage time in professional sport to enhance your reputation, where actually you do not. This is a really, really old thinking, this old construct that we're taught, that you need to have this level of credibility from relevant professional experience in an elite establishment, and you actually don't. What you need to have is relative experience and success in the specific sector and area that you want to work with. Now, the difference, if you want to be a strength and conditioning coach, the difference here is that if you work in professional sport, you are incredibly unrelatable to someone who wants to improve their weekend sport, their hobby, their kids, their rehab. You are so unrelatable. There is an illusion of grandeur around so-and-so works for this team, but actually you're really unemployable if you can't market and make yourself relatable to them. So don't think just because I'm going to get an internship, then I'm going to get loads of private work and make up my loss in salary, because you are completely not. And then the other trap that you can fall into is just waiting for a bit of luck. Now, I learned this the hard way, and I saw it as soon as I got inside. After 18 months, I got promoted up to the first team at Wasps, because I was a convenient promotion as well. I leapfrogged someone above me because he was doing such a great job in his under 21s role, that I got put into the skivvies in the first team on £18,000 a year. And so the frightening reality of Premiership rugby, right? So what I then saw is that the logical progression that you think you can work your way up in a team, work your way up in a company doesn't exist, because there is no exit. So in corporate worlds, for example, you can work your way up onto the board of a big company, for example, and then that's an amazing position. But you can't work your way up as a strength and conditioning coach. You can get to the head of performance role, whatever that is, or the head and run the program, but that's it. There is no exit. And so there's only 12 professional rugby teams, for example, in the Premiership, then there's only 12 of those jobs around. And with, I think it's off the top of my head, 100 undergrad programs per year and 100 master's programs per year pumping out qualified strength and conditioning coaches in England alone. What do you think that does to the saturation of the market? So when you get in, you're literally hit with this roadblock. And then actually the funniest thing was, when I moved in, the head coach just brought his friend across. So there wasn't even a fair shot at progression in-house. And that's the harsh reality of these worlds. So you can't wait for luck or just sit tight and be like, I'll just wait until someone dies, basically, so I can get this head of performance job, and actually still work all the same hours. There's not the higher you qualify in certain other progressions, the less you work, and you get paid more of it because you're an expert, and that doesn't happen. So if you really want to survive and thrive as a strength and conditioning coach moving into this area, then doing it off your own back is the most important thing, and making your own money is the most important thing. So how you do that is simple. In the description here, you are going to be able to download my S&C Coach Side Hustle Guide, which is a step-by-step playbook on how to package your skills, find your first clients, and build extra income alongside your coaching. I've put it out there for free because I really want to help, and I think a podcast is the best way to communicate this message as well, not so much on short form pop-up content, as I like to call it. So if you really did enjoy this and this resonates with you, then please download that. Start taking steps, taking action. You know, I'm a big believer actually of leaving money on the table with these things. I'd rather you move forward than charge you for it, because you need it. You need to have these tools. You need to have this value so we can raise the standard of profession together. Because let's put it this way. If we've got a generation of coaches making 4 times the amount of money already, 3 years out of university, for example, then they'll look at a £19,000 a year job and be like, are you fucking serious? I don't need to do that. You can't hold that over me just because you think I want to work with athletes. Well, I already do, and I get paid a lot better for it, and I do it in less time. So that's the vision. Hopefully you did enjoy that today. Until next time, I'm Sam Portland. Remember, do not chase jobs, build your legacy. And if you are liking this new S&C Business Club content, then do let me know. You know where to find me.